Locho sampo pa gyo trashi pa tuche tempe tinle yarngoda pelge drolor zampe ze parache palde lamme shabla solvade Omo a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Utta Vardanya Shri Bad Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo Nisha Sane Karm Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarvat Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nisha Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo Nisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo Nisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nisha Sane Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nisha Sane Karma Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyuke kudan dagi lo, pakyuke sundan dagi nga, pakyuke tukdan dagi yi, ten yerme chiktu kudan dagi lo, makyuke sundan dagi nga. Makyuke tukdan dagi ten yerme chikto jingi lo. Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Sangye chodan sogi chonam la chancho pardo danye kyapsu che dagi chinso gibe sonam gi drola pinchira sangye druparasho sangye chodan sogi chonam la chancho pardo danye kyapsu che dagi chinso gibe sonam gi Sangye druparasho sangye chodan sogi chonamla chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonamgi trola pinchira sangye druparasho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge into enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, I think all of us, at some point in our lives, maybe some of us more often, other of us less often, but at some point we have tried to eliminate a thought, or to eliminate an emotion, or to eliminate a certain attitude that we have, no? Which means, there we are, and then suddenly we have that thought which we don't like, we have that emotion which we don't like, there is something inside of us that we don't like, and we try to put it away. We try to block it, we try to eliminate it. And what is our experience? The stronger we try to put it away, the stronger it comes against us. The image comes to me, is like if imagine that you have something in the hands that is very sticky, and the more we try to throw it away, the more it comes back, and then we get dirty everywhere, you know? So it's that things that to take out you need to do slowly, but then it looks like you're getting more dirty, but actually not. Like, if you do like this, actually, then it's coming back, you know. Okay? This is my sensation when we talk about this, when we try to stop a negative thought, or when we try to stop a negative emotion. We try to put it away, and then we get stronger on it, then we get angry on ourselves that we are not able to eliminate the anger, and then we get nervous with ourselves, and then we enter into this, and finally when we see it overwhelms and takes power over us. Okay? It's like this, I didn't say in Italian, but it's like, I saw this few times. What happens if a person comes to us, and this person really, actually what a person wants is attention. Okay? And the person comes talking to us in a moment that we cannot talk, or saying things to us that we truly don't want to listen about, and so on. And especially, let's make the example, coming in a moment where really is not the right moment to talk, and so on, okay? If we go to the person and we say, please stop saying this. This is not the right moment. It shouldn't be like this, and so on. What happened? The person see that we give the attention, and then it comes double again. No, because it's this, because of that. Because our energy went to that person. No? If we react with indifference, in a gentle way, we say, sorry, I cannot, but we don't give energy to the person. The person may get upset, but after a short time, stop talking. Okay? This happened one time with our friend Duccio. He was painting an image of Buddha in Milan many, many years ago. And then he was painting this big Buddha image, many days there. And then our friend that already passed away, Teresa, which many of you knew her very well. She was a lady living in the center. She had her own house, but she would stay all the time in the center. And she was very beautiful, but at the same time, very difficult person. In many aspects, especially she would talk independently if you wanted to listen or not. So Duccio was there painting, and then she came and she started talking to him about, because the washing machine and this and that, all stuff. And then Duccio, he needed to concentrate. He had a deadline, he had to finish, he was painting a very beautiful image of Buddha, which is in Milan Center. The original one is now in the yoga room down here. So he was painting this, and then one point he thought, okay, I will just make as if she didn't exist. So he was painting, and she would come talk, he would not answer, nothing. Then slowly she stopped talking, and she stopped coming to him. And then for 2 days she was not coming. She would come by, give a look, and then go away. No? And then after 2-3 days like this, she came to him and said, oh, excuse me, Tuchom, I wanted to say first of all that I am sorry to you, because I didn't understand that you were so concentrated working, and you are not answering me back not because you are unpolite or you are a bad person. You are not answering me back because you need to work and you need to concentrate. And I was not respecting that. And then he said, yes, that's true, so kind. Because this happened and that happened. And there she caught him and non-stop for another 2 days, Okay? So our thoughts happen in the same way. What happens is that when actually we have like one thought which is there, whatever negative emotion or negative thought or something that is coming and we don't want it, the more we give space to it, the stronger it becomes. But if we try to block it, to block it, it will also come up stronger. It doesn't work. If we try to forget about it, it will come back again also stronger. So what to do? Is there any way to change this? Is there any way to eliminate some negative thoughts and emotions and habits and so on? I believe yes. If yes, how? I tell you what I understood, which is it's a very important principle in Buddhist teachings. The following. Our mind is totally incapable of having two direct opposite thoughts at the same time. We are not able to do that. It's like when you have a small child, and the small child is going in the shopping center mall or in the city market, and then suddenly the child starts crying to the parents, oh, I want this, Mom, I want this, and so on. Which is the best way for the parents to make the child to stop crying there and wanting that? Show something else. Distract the child. Oh, have you seen that? Oh, behind the other road, there is Santa Claus is waiting there, whatever, okay? Often somehow your lip is actually diluting the child with lies, but anyhow. Is trying to take away the attention, bring the attention somewhere else. Our mind is just like the mind of such child, When we are thinking about one thing, we're not able to think about the other, and vice versa. Just try to think, I like water, and I don't like water at the same time. Try to put it together. I like water, and I don't like water at the same time. We can do one just after the other, right? But together is not possible. We change very fast our minds. That's okay. That's normal. But not in the same time we are able to. So, which is the way to eliminate one thought, one emotion? Generate the direct opposite one. If I have the thought, I don't like water, how can I eliminate the thought, I don't like water? Generating a thought, I like water. How? By remembering the qualities of water, seeing how beneficial water is for me. I make this example of water because at some point in my life when I was a kid, I think I was 5-6 years old, I remember the moment when it happened. I decided I don't like water. I decided I didn't like the taste of water. And I decided I didn't like water. I remember exactly the moment when this happened. And then in the next years, at a certain point, slowly, I tried to generate myself the mind, I like water. And it took a long time, actually. But if I just say, no, I like water, it's not working. So what I need to do? I need slowly to have good experiences with water, to show myself that, yes, water is good. I need to say, okay, the water doesn't taste bad. I need to say it's good for my health, it's good for this, it's good for that. And then slowly, slowly, the more I have a clear idea, until the thought, I like water, appears. And when the thought, I like water, appears, naturally, spontaneously, the thought, I don't like water, fades away. Okay? So whenever we have an emotion, whenever we have a thought, there is something that is disturbing us, something that we don't like, what happens is that the more we focus on it, the more difficult it becomes. But what we need to focus on the antidote. We need to generate the antidote. But the antidote does not come spontaneously, because we are overwhelmed by the poison. So what we need to do is we need to artificially, gradually, generate the antidote. Okay? That's why, let's take, for example, what we were talking the day before yesterday, about the preciousness of this life. If we have the mind through which we take things for granted, and we do not value what we have, and we just stay complaining of small things and so on, okay? And we don't want that mind, because we know it's not good. But it's not enough to know that I should not have that thought. This is not enough. So what we do, we start to observe. We do not block that mind, but we start to give attention and to observe the good things that we have. We start, it's not coming spontaneously, it's something that comes artificially. Okay, oh look, you know, how precious it is, how many people in this world are in such a difficult situation. Look, the positive condition I have. So precious that I have my guru here with me. So precious that, you know, I have a relatively healthy body, and then I can practice the Dharma. So wonderful for this and that, and so on. And slowly we start to look at each and every point of the positive things that we have. And we start to say thank you to them. We start to develop gratitude. And suddenly, when we less expect, we will see that this mind of gratitude appears. And when the mind of gratitude appears, naturally, the mind that takes for granted and complains is not there anymore. What's the problem? When we stop being grateful, then the mind of complaint and taking for granted come back again, because we are conditioned to it. Then what we need to do? Apply the antidote again. And then, because we need to create familiarity with the antidote until it becomes spontaneous and strong. The problem that we have very often is that we get completely overwhelmed by the poison. And we have no space to apply the antidote, because we are just overwhelmed by the antidote, and then we try to apply the antidote when the poison is not there anymore. No? It's good, but it's not enough. Truly, the poison must be applied, the antidote must be applied where the poison lies. So, when comes the mind of whatever negative emotion, that's when we need to apply the antidote. It's not easy, but it means the negative thought is there, the negative emotion is there. We do not follow it, and we do not block it. We leave it there, and we bring our attention slowly more and more to the antidote side, until the antidote takes full power. And then, naturally, the defilement and the poison is gone. Okay? It's a very important principle that we have here. Okay? And then, as Papunka Rinpoche said in one teaching, he said, the mental defilements are easily eliminated when they are fully manifested. Just like the poison that is in our bloodstream is difficult to eliminate when it's just in the bloodstream. But when it manifests through the skin as an infection, then it's very painful, but that's when actually you can recognize where it is, and then you can apply the medicine and the antidote to it. Okay? So, similar to that, our mental defilements, when they are not manifested, doesn't mean that they are not there. But when our mental defilements manifest, that's the best moment to see where they are, to have a clear image, and then to apply the antidote. Okay? Anyhow, this part will come later. There is one of the next points from the 7 points, one point which is transforming the adverse circumstances into the path. This part will come with it, okay? The main point now here is understanding that to eliminate a certain thought, the only way that we have is to generate the opposite one. That's what we need to do. And this applies both for wisdom and compassion. For relative and absolute bodhicitta, we follow the same logic. Okay? We'll see this gradually. Okay. So, now, we have just explained before this aspect of the mind through which we are not able to have two opposite thoughts at the same time. Now let's go back to our text and you will see why we were talking about this, okay? The text goes back and says, Lilientam che chigla da kun la karin che wa gom, Tonglen niebo pelmar jang, lempe koren rang netsam, teni long la kyombar cha. Banish the one to blame for everything, meditate on the great kindness of all beings, as we have seen yesterday. And here, when it says meditate on the great kindness of all beings, we talked yesterday also about the importance to generate equanimity. And today, I was just before when we started the teachings this morning, where I was doing Rinpoche's mantra, I was reading a little bit here the commentary by Trishan Rinpoche. And then it came out one part, which is exactly what we said yesterday. And I hadn't read it yet yesterday, so it was very nice. And it's talking about, first of all, before generating the mind of feeling the kindness of others, of all sentient beings, first you need to generate equanimity, as we said yesterday. And here it's talking about what type of equanimity we need to generate. And it's citing the many different types of equanimity that exist. Saying, for example, there is the equanimity in which we see that us and every sentient being lack inherent existence. This is one type of equanimity. There is another equanimity in which we recognize that we are all in samsara. There is another equanimity in which we see that we all suffer and we all want to be happy and no one of us want to suffer. There is another equanimity in which we see that we are all taken by our ignorance and selfishness. The equanimity, the main equanimity that we are supposed to develop here is when he says, Rang la chenzing lo chitsam kewa tetsam chik semchen nam la semchen la kewa serwa yin. Is the equanimity in which as much self-cherishing that we have, we need to cherish others. So as we were saying yesterday, what is equal? The amount that we cherish ourselves and the amount that we cherish others. That is the equal thing. What we need to equalize, our cherishing mind. So as much as I cherish myself, I cherish others. What does that mean? As we said yesterday, we take the self-cherishing mind, which is this strong love towards ourselves, the strong wish to be happy, strong compassion towards ourselves, the strong wish not to suffer. We take that mind and we expand it towards others. We open towards everyone else. And as much as I cherish myself, yes, I do cherish myself, but as much as I cherish myself, I also cherish others. Okay? Trijang Rinpoche states this very clear here. So this is the basis of equanimity. Okay? But now, in order to do that, even though when we start in doing that, when we visualize the sentient beings around us and we cherish them, we still need to eliminate our selfishness. And what's the way to eliminate selfishness? By generating a direct opposite mind, right? So how do we generate a direct opposite mind of selfishness? First of all, let's understand what is the mind of selfishness. What is the attitude of the mind of selfishness? The selfish mind works like this. Everything that is good, I want. for me. Everything that is bad, I want far away from me. It doesn't matter where, with whom. As long as it's not with the I and the my, I don't care. It's more or less what we do when we throw the garbage, you know? As long as it's not in our house, it doesn't matter where it goes. Okay? So basically, what we do is, everything that is good, I want for myself. Everything that is bad, I want away from myself. Positive to me, negative to others. It doesn't matter to whom, as long as it's not with me. That's the selfish mind. So what would be the opposite attitude of selfishness? Everything that is good, I share with others. Everything that is harmful, negative, bad, I take to myself. That's the direct opposite mind of the selfishness. Which is the only way to eliminate a state of mind? Generating the direct opposite mind. So here comes a very clear method to eliminate selfishness by generating the direct opposite mind of altruism. Okay? So let's go directly through the visualization, through the meditation practice that we should do, and the meaning comes automatically with it. Okay? So what we do, we follow exactly as the 7 points mind training is saying. We follow exactly the order of the text. It says, the text starts by saying, banish the one to blame for everything. Who is the one to blame for everything? Selfishness. So what we do, first thing we recognize, the one that is the one to blame for each and every form of suffering that I experience is my own selfishness. Then we visualize the selfishness in our heart, like in the heart chakra, in the center here, center of our chest. We visualize more or less, I like to visualize more or less like the size, like the two hands together like this, or one hand, more or less. Okay? And it's a dense black mass of selfishness. So selfishness manifests in our chest like as this black dense mass, which is sticky and nasty and how to say in English, vicious and disgusting. Okay? Something that even just touching you say, oh. No? But at the same time, it's really dense and it's heavy. So we visualize this mass of it condensed within it. It takes inside of it all our anger and jealousy and pride and miserliness and arrogance and all our sicknesses and negative karma. All the negativities are absorbed into it. And it becomes more and more dense. Okay? So we visualize this thick, strong, dense, black mass of our negativities, which is our own selfishness. Okay? So first step, banish the one to blame for everything. So we visualize selfishness in our heart. It's very important, this step. Okay? So we visualize the selfishness in our heart, and the feeling that we get as we do this, it's like feeling uncomfortable with our own self, wanting to take away this black mass and not knowing how to do it. Okay, we want to banish selfishness, but as we have said before, when we have something negative thought and we want to throw it away, it doesn't work. So we start to get a little bit overwhelmed by this feeling, I want to eliminate this and I don't know how. Okay? But we just focus on this black mass in our heart. Then next step, meditate on the great kindness of all beings. Next step, we stop focusing a little bit in the black mass in our heart, it's still there. And then we start looking at other sentient beings around us. And we see that everyone around us also have the black mass. Also suffer as we suffer. Also want to be happy as we want to be happy. And when we start seeing the suffering of others, naturally our own suffering becomes smaller. And we start generating this feeling, I want you to be happy. And we start gradually wishing the happiness of others and generating this mind of equanimity, which as much as I want to be happy, I also want the others to be happy. As much as I want to be free from suffering, I also want the others to be free from suffering. So we start to generate this mind of equanimity. When we generate a little bit this mind, then we go to the next step, as it says, practice a combination of giving and taking. Giving and taking should be practiced alternately. And you should begin by taking from yourself. This too should be made to ride on the breath. Okay? So what we do? First, you should begin by taking from yourself. This means we are not capable to see the suffering of others if we are overwhelmed by our own suffering. Okay? That's why when a person is too much overwhelmed by his or her own suffering, doesn't have the ability to see others. So the first thing that we do is that first we take away our own suffering. So as we are there meditating, we inhale. As we inhale, first we focus on the I of the past. Okay? Because most of our suffering is regarding the past and the future. So what we do is we visualize ourselves of the past. We visualize ourselves in our childhood. We visualize ourselves when we were teenagers. We visualize ourselves when we had this problem and that period and that, whatever are the sufferings of the past that we still suffer from, the traumas that we have accumulated, this bad feeling that we have related to anything of the past. We remember ourselves in the past, whenever there was this moment of strong suffering, and then out of compassion towards our own selves, we inhale and we take away all that sickness, that negativities, that suffering in the form of dark, black smoke. That black smoke enters and it absorbs into our heart at the black mass of the heart. A very important point, fundamental point during the whole practice. Whenever the black smoke enters, it is completely, fully absorbed into the black mass of selfishness. And the more negativities, the more black smoke of negativities comes into the black mass of selfishness, the weaker the black mass of selfishness becomes. It's like in mathematics. Negative with negative becomes positive, which means one eliminates the other. So it's like basically two negative forces that when they go one against the other, one eliminates the other instead of becoming more strong as negative, okay? So what happens is that one goes against the other and one eliminates the other. So whenever the more negativities I receive, the weaker the black mass of selfishness becomes. It's very important to remember this passage, okay? So we start by taking all our sufferings from the past. And then as we exhale, we give all our joy and well-being and happiness and peace to others, to ourselves of the past. So we remember that moment in the past in which we were suffering so much. We take away that suffering into the us here in the present, and it eliminates by being absorbed into the selfish mind. And then we exhale and give joy and happiness and well-being. Okay? And we can do this with many moments of our lives. It can be something that happened today, yesterday, 10 years ago, 50 years ago. It doesn't matter. Okay? So first we do with what happened in the past. Then we do the same thing with the eye of the future. We imagine ourselves in the future where we have all our worries and fears and so on. Because basically, what are all our fears about? We have fear to suffer. We have fear of suffering. That's what our fears are about. We don't want to suffer. So what we do, we imagine ourselves of the future, with the suffering, with the problems, with everything, and all our worries, all our fears, we bring them to the present. And we take all that suffering into us right now. it absorbs into the selfishness of the heart and it's eliminated. And we give, as we exhale, well-being and happiness and peace. Okay. When we complete this process, when we feel that we are peaceful with ourselves, when we feel that we are not here more suffering for what happened in the past and worried for what will happen in the future, we have taken all that suffering and we do not fear suffering. Because how can I take the suffering of others if I fear taking my own suffering, It's not going to happen. So first we need to take away our own suffering in order to be able to see others. This is one point which is very important. Because whenever we are overwhelmed by our suffering, we are not able to see the suffering of others. Okay? So first we do this. That's what it says here when it says, and you should begin by taking from yourself. And then as soon as we finish this, then we start looking at others around us. And then as we see the other sentient beings around us, we see their sufferings. And then we see, as much as I wish myself to be happy, I also wish them to be happy. As much as I wish myself to be free from suffering, I also wish them to be free from suffering. We just take that feeling that we have towards ourselves and we expand towards them. And then as we inhale, we take their suffering. Their sicknesses, their negative karma, their mental defilements, whatever negativity is there, as we inhale, we take it towards us. In the form of dark black smoke, thick dark black smoke, it enters, absorbs into our heart, and the more negativities I take, the weaker my selfishness becomes. It doesn't fill myself up. Okay? And then I exhale and I give joy and happiness and well-being to them in the form of light that goes to them. Okay. As we do this practice, one of the best ways of doing it, but in the beginning is difficult, is to do it in 4 steps together with the breath, which means I inhale, 1, and as I inhale, I take the negativities in the form of dark black smoke that absorb into my heart. Then I keep the breath. Inhale, then I keep. As I keep the breath, I imagine that it is absorbed. I focus in the moment in which it's absorbed into the black mass, and the black mass becomes weaker. And I can also rejoice that other sentient beings have less suffering. But I focus that the black mass in my heart becomes weaker. Then I exhale, and I give to every sentient being light, with light emanates, giving to them joy and happiness and satisfaction and peace and so on. Then, once I give this to them, then I keep my breath again before inhaling, and at this moment I rejoice of their happiness. Okay? And then I inhale again. Okay? Actually, within this practice, not only we are practicing the antidote for selfishness, we are also practicing the 4 immeasurables. Because when I inhale, that's compassion. When I exhale, that's love. When I keep, that's rejoicing. And by making it the same way to all, that's equanimity. Okay? So we are developing the 4 immeasurables also within this meditation. Okay? In the beginning, it is difficult for us to be able to do in this way, which is inhale, take the negativities, exhale, give joy. It's too short the time. And for many of us, we don't have the ability to have such long breath also, okay? When we stay for longer time, then we can have a deeper breath, then it's easier. So what we can do in the beginning, we just focus for some period in taking the negativities, independently of our breath. So we focus when we inhale, then we don't focus when we exhale, we don't follow the visualization as we exhale. Then we focus again that we inhale and take the negativity. Then we focus that it absorbs into the heart and eliminates the strength that weakens the the selfishness in the heart. Then we focus in exhaling and giving joy to all sentient beings. And then we focus into rejoicing of their state of well-being. Then again we inhale, okay? This is just in the beginning. Then as we move forwards and as we are able to have a deeper breath and to concentrate better, then we follow precisely with our breath as we exhale and as we inhale, okay? It is said that there be some yogis that they can do the practice of exhaling from one nostril, inhaling from the other. I don't know how that would ever work. But the idea is that through the visualization, as you are exhaling from one, the light goes, from the other, the negativities come. So it's like a constant cycle of light going and negativities coming. It's like we are a filter, no? Basically, we are constantly taking the negativities and giving light. But that's more complicated. See, we have the 4 immeasurables, which are connected to this practice, because whenever we take the negativities, what is the feeling that we are generating? I want others to be free from suffering. That's compassion. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. Then when we give light to them, what we are developing? Love. May all beings have happiness and its causes. Then when we keep our breath and we rejoice of their well-being, may all beings never be separated from the great happiness that means beyond all misery. Rejoicing. And in the whole practice, we are practicing equanimity. Okay? In which we see that everyone we treat everyone in the same way. We remember that everyone has the same level of suffering and wishes to be happy. Not that have the same level of suffering. Everybody don't want to suffer and wish to be happy. And we generate equanimity in the whole practice. So within the meditation of the Tonglen, of giving and taking, we are also naturally, spontaneously practicing the 4 immeasurables. Okay? So, this is also, in few words, which is this practice of Lojong. It's a very strong meditation. It's very simple, as you can see. There is nothing complex, difficult to understand. No, there is nothing like difficult philosophy and then complex visualization. It's not Kalachakra Mandala, okay? Where we have like 720 deities, and then is this, and that is so complicated. I'm not saying 720 like just to make a big number. It's the actual number, okay? It's like, it is a lot, okay? So, it's not complicated. It's simple. Just inhale, take the negativities. Absorb into the heart, eliminate selfishness. Exhale, give joy to others, rejoice of their well-being. And use your creativity in the between. You know? Like I used to do this practice dividing. First I do for some time each realm. First the human realm, then the animals, then the do with the hell realm, then the semi-gods, then the gods. You know, dividing, then the hungry gods also divided each one. Or we can start by the people we know, then slowly we go extending, and then we have the animals. We can make it in many different ways. Okay? So this is something that we need to practice. But important thing is that it's a very powerful practice. And in the beginning, when we start doing it, it's a bit difficult, because when we start taking the suffering of others into ourselves, we may start feeling uncomfortable, and it's like our selfishness from behind saying, what are you doing? Are you crazy or what, you know? Stop this nonsense. You're going to harm yourself or whatever, you know? So in the beginning, there is this conflict that may have inside. It's a very, very strong practice. So what we do is just remember. That's why it's very important to start by remembering, banish the one to blame for everything, selfishness in our heart, that we need to eliminate. And as we do the practice, when we end the practice, the meditation, we imagine that everyone around us is free from suffering, is truly happy, and our selfishness is completely gone. And the most important thing for me in this moment of the practice is to have this feeling of satisfaction and this feeling of love and compassion that is completely shared with everyone. It really permeates everything and everyone. You know, it's no conceptual feeling of love. Like, not this night, the night before, I had a dream. Normally I never tell my dreams, but I don't have so many special dreams. That's why I don't tell my dreams, I think. But anyhow, I had a very nice dream, which I would just tell because it's connected to the concept now here. Okay, dreams are always quite strange. Anyhow, don't need to tell all the details around. At a certain point in this dream, it was a long dream, at a certain point, the main part of the dream, which really remained very strong on me, I arrived in this forest. It was like in the middle of a forest. There was a lake. And then someone was telling me, and I have no idea who it was because there was no image in the moment, saying, oh, you should come in here and you will have a special experience. So I entered this lake until more or less my knees of water. And then suddenly I start feeling something so strong from inside. And then it goes out of my eyes. And then I see myself from outside, sort of cartoon. And it was myself, but then I see like lights coming out from the eyes. No? And then I go back inside, and the feeling and what the meaning and the feeling was that feeling love through the senses. Non-conceptual love, non-conceptual compassion. It was like directly in the eyes, and it was something physical. It was like the connection between my emotion, my feeling, and the others that I was seeing. It was like that every form, every light that was touching was giving connection and was receiving at the same time this love. Something difficult to put into words. Very strong feeling, actually, you know. And the same thing with the sounds. So it's like loving through the senses, not only through a conceptual idea, I want you to be happy. No? So this is more or less what I believe we need to generate in this moment of our practice, you know. When we are there and then suddenly our selfishness is gone, we feel this relief, we feel this inner space. Wow, so wonderful. And then we just look to everyone and we have this strong connection. No more difference as much as I love myself and I love others. And I am feeling well and everybody's feeling well and I deeply rejoice about it. Okay? If we do this meditation once a day for a week, 15 minutes, half an hour, I can assure you that after 1 week, you will feel big changes inside. It's not so simple, not so easy to do it. It's simple, but it's not so easy because selfishness says stop, you know. But if we're able to go beyond and we really do it, we will feel finally relief. Okay. There is one anecdote that I like to tell also, and which is also important just to focus on one point. A friend of ours from Malaysia, he one time told me, I was talking about this practice, and Rinpoche asked me one time also, he said, how you are teaching Tonglen meditation? I said, yes, Rinpoche. And he said, how are you doing? He was a bit worried. Then I explained how I was explaining the visualization, and he said, okay, like this is okay. And he relaxed. Actually, the visualization, putting the emphasis of the black mass is not the common way of explaining Tonglen, okay? Most of the times, from what I have seen, the explanation of this practice of meditation doesn't give the emphasis on the black mass of selfishness in the heart. I have seen this explanation on this book, which was written by Trijang Rinpoche. So he gives these instructions. So I follow as in accordance. And when I explained to Rinpoche, I was saying like this, then he said, yeah, like this is okay. But one time I was talking about this, and then Mr. Kok, our friend, he asked me, how happened, what, and that. And then I explained that I was teaching Tonglen, then he said, I'd like to share with you. And he said, if you like to share with others, no problem. One experience he had with Tonglen practice. He was in the hospital many years ago, and he needed to make a surgery to take away his prostate. So he needed to do the surgery where the whole prostate will be taken away. So during surgery time, before surgery, he was in the hospital. So the doctors came, they made one checkup, they saw how big was the prostate, which was bigger than normal. So they needed to take it away, whatever reason. And then they, based on the size of the prostate, they chose what type of surgery they will do. Everything fine, they talked with him. And then they, okay, now you wait for the surgery. So while he was waiting for the surgery, he was making the practice of Tonglen, of giving and taking. And he was visualizing all the pain and suffering and sickness of everybody in the hospital and around, going to his prostate. I told him, that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the black mass of self. He said, I know, but they were going to take the prostate away anyhow. So he imagined everything going to his prostate as he was doing the visualization. Then he fell asleep with the anesthesia, and then anyhow he did the surgery. After the surgery, the doctors came to him when he woke up and they said, look, we are sorry. We needed to do a different type of surgery because your prostate was so big. Much, much bigger than when we did a checkup just before. And we cannot understand how it could get so big in such a short period of time. And we never saw such a big prostate. Only in the books we never saw such a big prostate. So can we keep it for study for the university, And he said, yes. So there they kept his big prostate for studies, whatever, And then they were saying, we don't know why. And then he was telling me, yes, I was thinking inside, I know why, but I don't tell you, But this story brings one important thing, which is we need to have very clear. It doesn't matter whom. It doesn't matter how. No one is able to take upon oneself the negative karma of others. Even if you want. I cannot experience the results of what you have done. You cannot experience the results of what I have done. So we cannot take the negative karma of others upon ourselves. That's not possible at all. Sometimes people say, I have taken his karma upon me. That's not possible. This will never happen. Even if it would be possible, then the Buddhas could do for us, no? They are full of compassion. They have all the skillful means to transform any negativity. They could take our negativities and then it will be easier, no? Less job for them. Instead of teaching us and showing us the path, Wouldn't it be? Really, if I had the possibility to take the negativities of others and transform, it's a much shorter way than teaching them how to purify. No? So, it's not possible. In the same way that a Buddha cannot take our negativities upon him, we cannot take the negativities of anyone upon ourselves. Truly. What can happen is by being near to someone or by doing a certain visualization, whatever, we create a condition through which we manifest the results of our own negative karma that is manifesting. But it's never taking upon ourselves truly the negativities of others. Then someone may ask, then what's the point of doing the visualization? Is to change our attitude, to eliminate our selfishness by generating a direct opposite mind. The final goal of this visualization is to truly, sincerely have the same attitude of love I have towards myself, also towards others. The same attitude of compassion I have towards myself, have towards others. To equalize and exchange ourselves with others. That's the objective. Okay? It's a very powerful practice, but as you saw, it's simple. And once again here, that's why these practices have been secret for centuries. Because it becomes powerful when we practice it. Otherwise, it's just so simple. Okay? So I invite everybody to do this practice. And this practice can be done in two ways. When in meditative session and when we are not in meditation session. Also we can do this practice, okay? And this will come in the next verses. Let's go through them quickly, briefly. So, the next part refers to how to make the practice of giving and taking, and just a curiosity about the practice of giving and taking, which is called Tonglen. But in Tibetan, Tong means to give, Len means to take, so to give and take. But when we practice, we start first taking, not giving. So it's called the practice of giving and taking. It's practiced by taking and giving. And I have asked myself why. And one time I saw it written somewhere also, that because in Tibetan language, sometimes names are changed because they sound better. Like when we are naming things, sometimes we change the order because it sounds better. So, it's like when we say body, speech, mind, action and quality, when we are naming, but actually in the real order is quality and action. Okay? So Tibetan have these things. And the same thing here, Tonglen, if we would give the right order in the name, it would be the practice of Lentong. Len means to take, Tong means to give. But in Tibetan, Lentong really doesn't sound nice. It looks like Chinese. Nothing against Chinese language, but it doesn't look like Tibetan, the sound. It's a bit strange to call it Lentong. At least that's how I see it. But so, most probably because of this, with Tibetan it's called Debchorgiwang. In order for it to sound better, it's called Tonglen. Okay, maybe there is a much more deeper reasons. Anyhow, the fact is that it's called practice of giving and taking, and it's practiced by taking and then after giving. Okay, but the practice is divided into two periods: how to practice during meditation and how to practice between meditation sessions. And generally speaking, it's always said that to practice during meditation and to practice between meditation has the same level of importance in our spiritual path. Okay? Even this was taught, even when we talk about practitioners that do 4 sessions of meditation a day. So it means you pass around from 10 to 12 hours a day meditating. The periods between the meditation are as important as the period of meditation. So in our case, most of us, how long does it last, our periods between the meditation sessions? 1 day, a week, 3 months, I don't know. I hope not so long, but between every Tonglen meditation, how long would it last? I hope not so long, but not longer than a day, but still, it could be long. So it becomes even more important for us to learn how to practice in between the meditation session. Okay? So this in the text goes like this, and it says, Yulsum tuksum getsasum jegi menga durde patila jimba kurochi cholam kundu tsikichang. So, banish the one to blame for everything, meditate on the great kindness of all beings. Practice a combination of giving and taking. Giving and taking should be practiced alternately. And you should begin by taking from yourself. These two should be made to ride on the breath. It's quite clear now, right? Then, concerning 3 objects, 3 poisons, and 3 virtues, the instruction to be followed, in short, is to be mindful of the practice in general by taking these words to heart in all activities. So, which are the 3, this is the part which refers to how to practice between meditation sessions, okay? So, which are the 3 objects? Which multiplied by 3 becomes 9? Friends, enemies, and indifferent. Okay? Dranyam parsum in Tibetan we call. In Tibetan the order is enemy, friend, and indifferent. Okay? Towards the 3 objects, which are the 3 poisons that we have? Attachment, attraction, aversion, anger, and indifference, ignorance. Okay? So basically, towards the 3 objects, we have the 3 poisons. Okay? And then from this, we can develop the 3 virtues. So how do we do that? The first virtue is based that, it's like that. Whenever we are in a situation during our daily life, we basically, out of our selfishness, we will relate to everything and everyone, putting them in the 3 categories. Friend, enemy, and indifferent. That's how we do normally. And based on that, inevitably, we will end up acting with the 3 poisons. So whenever we recognize this happening in ourselves, or whenever we recognize someone else acting in this way, because also everyone else relates to us in this way also, whenever we see this process happening, we dedicate very strongly and we say, may everyone be free from such attachment. May everyone be free from such aversion and anger. May everyone be free from such ignorance and indifference. So the wish for ourselves and others, we say ourselves and others because the same way how I wish, may I be free from this, because I see how actually difficult, how awful it is to remain trapped into this mechanism of friends, enemies, indifference, attraction, aversion, indifference, and so on, I see how all this mechanism is unhealthy and it's negative. So by recognizing this, I wish myself to be free from this mechanism, and I wish everyone else also to be free from this mechanism. No? So the three virtues is this deep wish for ourselves and others to be free from the extremes of attraction, aversion, and indifference. Okay? This is what is called the three virtues here. So whenever we are in contact with someone and we see that this mind appears of specific attachment, then we say, may I and everyone else be free from this. Whenever I see anyone, myself acting with the mind of aversion and anger, may I and everyone else be free from this. Okay? So this is what we say concerning the three objects, three poisons, and three virtues. Then, the instructions to be followed in short is to be mindful of the practice in general by taking these words to heart in all practices. This means that in general, whatever situation we find ourselves, we need to take the teachings into consideration. How do we do that? During our daily life, we experience moments of pleasures and we experience moments of suffering. So whenever we experience a moment of pleasure, for instance, let's say I am drinking something that I like. So I'm drinking some water, I was really thirsty. So good. In the moment that I have an attitude of pleasure, our common behavior will be to relate to pleasure in a selfish way. Normally, whenever we have pleasure, what is our common way of doing? I want that pleasure to remain for me. So our common way is we have our selfishness manifests when we have pleasure. And when we suffer, our selfishness manifests also. How do we act in front of suffering? With altruism or with selfishness? I don't want to suffer. Selfishness. Okay? So, we need to invert it. So, whenever there is a moment of pleasure, we experience the pleasure, we enjoy the pleasure as much as we can. We do not block the pleasure because something wrong that I'm having pleasure. Nothing wrong. We enjoy the pleasure as much as we can, but then what we do, we open it and we extend this wish for pleasure to everyone else. So as I am enjoying something so wonderful, may everyone else experience the same pleasure as I am experiencing right now. It's the same attitude that we have been talking since yesterday, that we take the attitude that we have of love towards ourselves and we expand towards others. So whenever we have a moment of pleasure, we take that attachment, which is this wish for pleasure to continue, and with the joy of what we are experiencing, and then we expand that attitude towards everyone else. May everyone experience that. So the longer the pleasure, the better it is. And the more merits I accumulate, the longer the pleasure, because I dedicate more for others. So I take a moment of pleasure in which normally I will have a selfish attitude, and I transform it into altruism. By not eliminating my pleasure, but by sharing it with everyone else. Then, when I am in a moment of suffering, what I do, again, I open my heart again, and I do the same. As I am in my suffering, what's the natural attitude that we have? I don't want to suffer. So I want to eliminate the suffering. So together with that, we expand that feeling, that intention towards everyone else when we say, as much as I don't want to suffer, I wish everyone else to be free from such suffering. Like for instance, let's say we have a headache. And then in the moment we have the headache, I don't want to have this headache anymore, that's so awful. Then we dedicate, may I, by eliminating my headache, may I eliminate the headache of every sentient being. May anyone that exists that is having headache, may they be free from their headache through my headache. And then as I take the medicine, as I do something to eliminate my headache, I imagine that by eliminating my own headache, I am eliminating the headache of everyone else. And like this with all different types of sufferings that we have. You know? And then if we are able really to apply this in our daily life, and then there are words that we can repeat, like from the Guru Puja and many other verses, that can help us to remember this and to direct our mind. No? I was remembering before Rinpoche since many years, like whenever I saw him in pain, I always saw him reciting the verses of the Tonglen. So in the moment of pain, I always saw him reciting the verses which says, may I take the suffering of others upon myself, may I give my joy and happiness towards them. No? There were two moments here in the center which were very clear of this. One moment was that we were here in this temple. I was not here in that moment, I saw him just after. And at that time, the Gompa here, it was all concrete. There was nothing built yet, just the statues. And Rinpoche had just come from Austria. He went to see Trijang Rinpoche there, and then the reincarnation of his guru. Then he was coming back, he was very happy. Then he saw on the road they were selling some marble statues. So he bought some marble statues. They are around in the center. There is, just outside here, this one of is a dolphin. So he bought this statue of the dolphin there. So he brought here and he was placing, and he was very happy with this statue. And then there was a sort of a machine to raise up the statue, which was very heavy, that you go like tuck, 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 like turning like this, and then the statue would come up to move it, no? So he had this machine and he wanted to do himself. He was very happy with it, and there Rinpoche was doing himself. And the whole thing was with some these thick elastics with the hook were there. And then what happened, as raising it, the elastic became more tense, and suddenly it came out, and it came around and came to Rinpoche's face and cut him just near to his eye. So there was blood everywhere. And I met Rinpoche as just he was going there to try to do something for this. And then he was reciting constantly. From his voice, it was clear that it was quite painful. And he was reciting. What? Now it forgot. Oh Guru Buddha, please bless me. May the suffering of all sentient beings ripen upon me in this very right instant, and may all my bliss and happiness be given to them. Something like this, no? So he was reciting this as he was that. Another time, and then other verses of Tonglen practice also. Another time I remember the door of the car closed on his hand. And Rinpoche had arthritis. So it was quite painful, I suppose. And then there he was again, reciting it again in the same way, no? So what happened is that Rinpoche is not the best example for us in many, many things, almost in everything. So again, in everything actually. So there was Rinpoche, practicing Tonglen. So in the same way, we should do the practice our own selves. Whenever there is a moment of joy, we dedicate for others. Whenever there is a moment of suffering, we also open our heart and we dedicate it for others also, okay? And very quickly, if we just look in the Guru Puja, just to say which are the verses that refer to this, okay? Actually, the whole practice of Tonglen, the whole practice of Tonglen is inside the Guru Puja. Okay, verse number 90. Okay, I will just read the verses now without giving explanation, and you will see how it's directly connected with the practice we were just talking now, okay? These verses were written not to teach us things, but to remember us of what we learned and of our practice. So it says, no? There is no difference between ourselves and others. None of us wishes even for a slightest of suffering, nor even is content with the happiness we have. Realizing this, we seek your blessings, that we may enhance the bliss and joy of others. So, with this means, first, meditate on the kindness of all beings. The second one is talking about banish selfishness. This chronic disease of cherishing ourselves is the cause that gives rise to our unsought suffering. Perceiving this, we seek your blessings to blame, begrudge, and destroy the monstrous demons of selfishness. The mind that cherishes all mother beings and would secure them in bliss is the gateway leading to infinite virtue. Seeing this, we seek your blessings to cherish these beings more than our lives, even should they rise up as our enemies. In brief, Infantile beings labor only for their own end, while Buddhas work solely for the welfare of others. With a mind understanding the distinctions between the failings of one, of selfishness, and the advantages of the other, the altruism of a Buddha, we seek your blessings to enable us to equalize and exchange ourselves with others. Equalize equanimity, as we just said, and exchange with the same attitude that we have of love towards ourselves, we have towards others, the same attitude of compassion towards ourselves we have for others. Since cherishing ourselves is the doorway to all torment, while cherishing our mothers, all sentient beings, is the foundation of all that is good, we seek your blessings to make our core practice the yoga of exchanging self for others, of Tonglen, of what we were just talking. And thus, this is the verses that normally is recited 3 times very slowly in order to do the visualizations of the practice of giving and taking. And thus, O venerable compassionate gurus, we seek your blessings that all karmic debts, obstacles, and sufferings of all mother beings, all sentient beings, may, without exceptions, ripen upon us right now, that we may give our happiness and virtue to others, and thereby invest all beings in bliss. Okay? So this is the line that we do as we do this meditation. Okay? And then the next verses refer to the next pointers of the 7 points mind training. Okay? So with this we conclude for today. I will just read the verses in Italian. So we can find verses also in the Bodhisattva Charavatara, there are many, to help us to remember of this. So when we are in a good moment, we dedicate, may everyone enjoy the happiness that I am enjoying. When I am in a moment of suffering, may anyone be free from the same suffering as I am experiencing. And with this, we adapt to our life this. And then we can really practice at every moment. There is no moment. Every moment of pleasure, every moment of suffering, it's a moment to practice Dharma. Jetsun lame kutse rapten che nam karatin le chochur gepa dang losan tempe drume sasumgi drove munse tato ne gyurachi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin ninsen takto del sumge jingi lo Concho sumge ngodrup sol, concho sumge trashishom. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Oma huntambala me sangerimbo, chekyobala me tamchorimbo, Trembala me gendurimpo, kyamne kuncho sumla chepa bul.